the start. Hey guys, Elizabeth, the curly-haired country gal here. Today I want to talk to you about part one of the setup that I'm working towards to have rabbits in a colony, or at least kind of a pseudo colony. So I'll tell you what I mean in a minute. But yeah, let's do this thing. A big, overarching goal is to always be thinking about how to raise our own food. I do hope to raise 100% of our own food in the future. Also to produce the highest quality meat at the lowest possible cost. So I do hope to raise rabbits. The hope is that they can happen next year, 2022. We'll see. I want to take things one thing at a time. I want to make sure I can take care of one animal at a time, but more importantly, to make sure our kids are taken care of, etc. So I'm starting now to prepare. So of course, the purpose behind having meat rabbits, they would be meat rabbits. The purpose of them is to provide meat for our family. Now, I've mentioned before several times that I try to build systems that are low maintenance, low cost, and durable. And I'll talk about that with this particular setup. So that's part of why I chose this setup as well. It has impacted the choice of pig and the choice of chicken and the setup with the chickens as well. So anyway, all that being said, the purpose is for high quality meat for our family and self-sustainable, something that we can raise here, not have to keep buying and bringing here onto the homestead, but though we can reproduce ourselves. So anyway, it sounds like rabbits are, the number one way to do that as far as the speed with which they reproduce and grow out. So it just seems like a win-win situation. Plus they eat grass. It just seems to make so much sense to me to utilize things like kune pigs and rabbits, and maybe down the road things like cows or goats that eat grass and then it turns into meat for us, because we have several acres here that we can use for that. I chose kind of a colony setup. Again, I'll show you more in a minute because I just didn't really like the idea of a rabbit spending its life in a cage. I just like to keep things as natural as possible and give a rabbit the best life possible, just like with any of our animals. I want to have really happy chickens and really happy whatever else. I just didn't like the idea of them being in cages. So this is the setup that I came up with, and it's using 10 by 10, 10 foot by 10 foot, 6 foot tall dog kennels, but it's going to make a 30 foot by 30 foot square, and it's going to be subdivided, and I'll kind of show you what that's going to look like. But here we go. Let me go ahead and show you around a little bit. Now, with this setup, I started over here with this corner, and the idea was to go ahead and dig as I went so that I could bury a foot of rock or whatever to prevent the rabbits from digging out. I know 2 feet's more ideal, but that was the idea. So I started over here, I dug a foot down, and then I didn't quite realize just how much of a slope we have here, but it worked out all right. So this is the first pen here at the edge of the orchard, and then we have it about 2.5 feet deep over here, which is actually maybe more like 3 feet, which is actually perfect because that means I don't have to bury anything additionally to keep the rabbits from digging out, and I can just let them dig and do their thing. I'll tell you what I did in just a minute, but this is going to be the entrance, and then there's going to be a little bit of a walkway, and then a common area in between sets of pens. So I'll show you what that looks like. What I still need to do on this, I don't have to do too much right here, but here I'm going to have to dig out the door, and then here I started digging out the door. And the way I did that was that I went ahead and rented a trencher, and it was pretty useful overall. A little disappointing as far as not being able to get done what I had hoped because of the hill that we have up here. It was pretty difficult to maneuver this thing on the hill. So that's just something to keep in mind, that trenchers aren't meant for hills. So you can get a good idea of what I'm talking about from this angle. So we would come in over here, that would be the main entrance, and there'd be this whole common area. And then these two pens over here are going to be for the bucks. So 1 buck is going to be in each pen. So that's the least natural part about this system, is for them to be kind of confined, but it's still way better than a 2-foot by 3-foot pen. They still get 100 square feet, but they can't be together because of the close proximity to the does. It just sounds like that's just a recipe for disaster. So they're going to be kept separate, and then I'm going to have some sort of barrier on the fence line to the does so that they can't breed through the fence, which apparently is possible. But in here, and the whole rest of this area is going to be for the does and for their kits. So there's going to be this entryway, and then this common area in here. And then over here, there's going to be 3 pens, and the purpose of the pens is going to be to do some kind of rotational grazing. I'm gonna open up 1 pen at a time. I'll just experiment. I'll see how long it takes for them to eat down the grass in one area, and then close that door, open up the next, and then in here is where I'm gonna want to encourage them to be doing their burrowing and make homes for their kits. And then when it's time, I can move one of the does in with the bucks to go ahead and breed. If needed, I can take them both elsewhere to breed and then bring them back. But that's going to be the idea here. So I'm about halfway done. I had hoped that it would all be level, but I have found I've been getting pretty good with a pickaxe and a post hole digger, but this is just it's just too deep for me to go all the way. So it is going to have a little bit of a terraced look, where it's going to be the highest over here and then stair step down a little bit. But I don't mind that look. I actually think it looks nice. So I'm fine with that. But this is step 1. So I probably won't be able to do too much more in here until the spring, but this is the start.